It is now 3 o'clock, and I'd like to call the Greater RTA Board of Trustees meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mary, will you please take the roll call?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hoagie?
Yes.
Ms. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Corrado?
Yes.
Mr. Depp? Ms. Hairston?
Here.
Ms. Howard? Ms. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Williamson?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. As always has been our custom, the minutes of the prior meetings, and for this meeting, the minutes also for the February meeting as well as the March meeting was mailed to the Board of Trustees well in advance of the meeting. Is there any board member who would want a reading of those minutes? If there is not, I would also entertain, are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing no request for the reading of the minutes or no additions or corrections, the minutes for the meetings of February 3rd and March 3rd of 2015 stand approved as submitted. We now go to our committee reports, and the first one is the Finance and Personnel Committee. Sharon.
The Finance, Personnel, and Planning Committees met on March 17th with the Finance Personnel Committee recommending one action item for approval by the Board of Trustees. Intelligent Transit Systems, ITS, upgrade project. The purpose of this procurement is to award a contract to a qualified ITS solution provider for a complete, integrated, state-of-the-art, scalable ITS solution to support the operations of RTA. In addition to the design of the system, the scope of work includes all software, hardware, installation, testing, training, documentation, warranty, maintenance, and support. There are several major elements within this procurement which are detailed in today's board package. Brandon Palachicchio and Hank Trimble provided a detailed explanation at our committee meeting, and the supporting information is included in your board package. Brandon and Hank are available today to answer any questions the board may have. Based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve a contract award to Clever Devices Ltd. for the Intelligent Transit Systems Upgrade Project in the total amount of $8,939,704. Also included is a contract award to Trapeze Software Group in the amount of $453,394 for the Trapeze interfaces needed for the ITS upgrade, plus an allowance in the amount of $46,435 for additional implementation services for a total award to Trapeze of $499,829 for a grand total award amount of $9,439,533. This procurement will be funded 80% with federal funds, with the exception of maintenance of years 1 through 5, which will be funded with operating funds.
I'll second.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Mark, I'm sure in your executive thing you will just talk about some of the highlights of this and the positive impact it will have on the RTA.
Sure.
And it also, I'd like to stress to all, when you heard $9 million, and we've said so often we were putting aside quite a bit of our reserves over the years because of major capital additions. Here is one, and the other you saw in the paper on Sunday with regard to the buses. So I think it will become clear to our stakeholders of why it was necessary for us to try to accumulate reserves to upgrade the whole system that we have. Are there any further questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Any abstentions? Action item number 2 is unanimously approved.
That concludes the Finance Personnel Committee action items. However, we did have discussion, and at the meeting, Mrs. Stanforth reported that for February 2015, RTA's net gain after local depreciation is $240,027 compared to a budgeted loss of $16,744. The gain is the result of lower than expected operating expenses for wages and benefits as well as fuel and lubricants. February 2015 year-to-date net loss after local depreciation is $154,410 compared to a year-to-date budgeted loss of $613,584. Actual performance is tracking very favorable as compared to the budget as a result of lower operating expenses for wages and benefits, fuel and lubricants, contract services, and utilities. The sales and use tax, the annual sales tax receipts for 2014 total $37.8 million versus $35.5 million for 2013. The total increase for 2014 is $2.3 million, and that percentage is a 6.4% increase. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? I just want to point out that those financial statements with regard to sales tax, which is one of our biggest revenue items, is what we had budgeted. We know what we actually collect from sales tax 3 months late, as you probably heard me say many, many times. So next month, we will know what we actually collected in sales tax for the month of January. Last year, we had a wonderful year for sales tax revenue, but the papers have been replete nationwide. Retail sales are down, but I don't know how that compares to what actually happened in Montgomery County from a retail standpoint. We will know that about 3 weeks from now, how we did on the sales tax, and that will be an adjustment to the financial statement. So it just has the budgeted numbers there, not the actual numbers collected. Any other questions or comments? We then move on to the Planning Committee report. Janet.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Personnel and Committees met on March 17th, and we have one action item to bring before you. Action item number 3, 2015 Community Grant Programs Award. The purpose of this action item is to award federal transit enhancement funds to provide 80% funding support to 4 jurisdictions for bus stop improvements. The jurisdictions of Centerville, Dayton, Moraine, and Riverside will provide the 20% match and are also required to maintain the project. Ultimately, this program has no impact on the RTA budget. Details of the recommended Community Grant Program Awards are included in your board packet. It is recommended that 6 community grant projects plus a fund for any future 2015 projects totaling $160,000 in federal transit enhancement funds be awarded for 2015, and I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Sharon. Are there any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Are there any abstentions? Action item number 3 is unanimously approved. Do you have a report, Janet?
Yes, I do. We have quite several activities that have taken place from the Planning Committee. Travel training with the warmer weather arriving. RTA staff anticipates an increase in requests for travel training sessions. Most recently, 3 travel training sessions were provided for students at Northridge High School, and 2 sessions were conducted at MCLC West. Ride to Art, as a continuation of the RTA partnership with the Dayton Art Institute, transportation services were recently provided to 9 different schools. There's a report on bike share. A recent press conference was held at the Right Stop Plaza, and the program name of LINK was announced. This program is generating quite a bit of excitement in the community and is expected to begin operation later on in the spring. There's a new Route 64 Easy Ride for the Wesley Center. Marketing staff recently conducted a How to Ride presentation to senior citizens at the Wesley Center. The presentation aimed to show how easy it is to use RTA's fixed route service for travel needs. Read on RTA. This year's distribution goal will be 10,000 books delivered to Dayton area children. The RTA Employee Book Drive began on March 18th, in addition to a reading event at the Kroc Center. And regarding social media, Facebook likes and Twitter followers continually have a steady climb. As always, the look of RTA social media changes to reflect what is current, what is relevant, and how RTA is engaged in the community. February's social media focus was recognizing Black History Month. And this concludes my report, Mr. Chairman. If there are any questions, Frank or myself would be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions? Thank you very much, Janet. We now get to the Executive Director's report. Mark.
Thank you, Mr. President. A number of items, but I'll start with the ITS project because obviously that's the biggest, and I don't want to overdo it. I know the board suffered through a 3-hour presentation a few weeks ago on the outcome, but I've referred to this from the beginning. Hank, I think you and I were the only two involved in the beginning on this. All these other folks were new to this scene. We've been talking about pieces of this project for years. I really see it as an overhaul of the entire ITS network. So big that I think we made a good decision early on to pitch to the board the idea of bringing in a third party to help us, that consultants that are professional in this arena to help guide us through what we needed, what we didn't need, and then the ultimate procurement, which we did. And then also, I really want to credit Hank and Brandon specifically because they pulled together an internal team. It was a pretty large group of people, and it included everybody, including the user groups. I know there was at least a bus driver or two involved as well, the people that actually get to use the end product of this equipment, which to me is always a big issue because they're the ones that will use it day to day. So it's a huge, huge issue. And I'll mention some of the things that are a part of the project that include the installation and integration of our Motorola voice and data radio system, which the board has already authorized. We've already made the procurement of the new two-way radio system, which our intent there was to replace a system that's over 30 years old and operates from a single broadcast tower on top of Good Sam Hospital. That's another favorite project of mine because we made the conscious decision to buy into the county system. We'll be one of 50-some agencies, I believe, ultimately involved in this project. We'll be operating now from 10 towers around the region as opposed to just the one. It's a digital system, so if I'm angry at Jim Napier, I'll be able to call him from Columbus or Cleveland on the two-way radio if I'm in one of the RTA vehicles. And it's also a seamless network, so in a true emergency, and some of this came post 9/11, that there would be an opportunity for open line of communication between the public safety personnel and our units, which, as you know, we're very active in the emergency managed sorts of operations. So that's a big, big piece of the project. Replacement of our computer-aided dispatch automatic vehicle locator system, which, believe it or not, is outdated. It's relatively old. All the GPS and AVL components for our non-revenue fleet. Automatic passenger counters, that's something we've bought into big, and it helps us with our federal reporting for all fixed route buses and the trolleys. Improved automatic vehicle annunciation for fixed route, which is, these are our ADA compliant announcements, visual stop announcements, as well as the audio arrival announcements on the exterior of the bus. Automated, I like this one, vehicle health monitoring. I like that term, which means people like Bill Ingram can see in an instant, you know, what's going on a bus that might be in Vandalia or Miamisburg. And what it may mean is that before we dispatch a maintenance person, they're equipped knowing exactly what the problem is they're going to be dealing with and perhaps bring the right item with them to make sure that our downtime is much less because of that. It includes new LED customer information signs for our hubs, including here downtown, and 20 bus stops as well. An upgrade to our website to include service maps, route stops, where a bus is on a route. Are you listening, Dan Foley? It's finally coming. Dan Foley has been egging me on for years about getting real-time information out there to the public. Well, it's coming. Along with a mobile app for iPhones and Androids to give the arrival time and the same real-time bus information that we've been looking for years. We've delayed, and I think we're going to have a better product because of that in the end. And then what we call an interactive voice response system. This is another one I think is really big. And I think initially the discussion came up when Bob was able to win us a veterans grant that I think some of the money may be applied for on this system. But it's going to help us on both the fixed route and the paratransit side. And the call center by providing riders with real time and actually reminding people on paratransit that they have a trip scheduled for a certain time, giving them an opportunity to cancel well ahead of schedule and avoid a no-show or cancellation, late cancel sort of penalty. A great thing, and then eventually it'll lead to web-enabled services like scheduling, which I think will go a long way to relieve the call center load and help us get faster at answering the calls that do come in. So it's a little bit of everything, and that's why I call it an overhaul. It's a big project. Surprisingly, it's not much more than we invested in just one piece a long time ago, and I think that has to do with the way the technology is today. It's been years in the making. I think we have a good end result, and I really think from an IT perspective, it's really taking us well into the future, and it's going to give both our customers and our workers, you know, the equipment they need. And I think we've been in dire need. Most people don't realize there's these data terminals that are on the buses. Those are not even, today you can't even get parts for them. Some of them we can't replace. It's really time to get this stuff moved out of the system and get something new. And I like the idea that this has been a project where we've engaged the employees. They've had their hands in it, so I think they're going to help us preach the benefits of what's coming, and especially with, you start thinking about all the improvements in the radio system, and if you're someone like me who listens to the radio constantly when I'm out and about, and I hear how hard it is sometimes to communicate simple things just because the system is so antiquated, I know it will improve customer service a great deal. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's a great project. If you have a technical question, I'm going to look right at the technical people, or the super nerds as I call them, because I'm not the technical guy. I know what I think these things should do. And they did a great job of dumbing it down to my level so I could understand it before we brought it back to you. But they've done a great job, and I can't say enough, especially about Hank and Brandon. And sometimes we don't throw enough roses around here. Hank is one of those people to me that Hank has had his finger in probably every IT issue in this organization for decades. And if you don't realize the value of that, everything from Hank knows payroll. I mean, that's it's an interesting thing. He knows all these things, and he's our go-to guy on a lot of these projects. So now we got some young blood in there, too, that understands the high-tech world, and it's a great thing. So I don't want to undersell this. This is a huge project for us. It's big dollars, but it's an important investment for us going forward, and I think the customers are really going to love it. So,
Mark, when will it be fully implemented?
they're all afraid of what I'm going to say. I think from the time we execute it, 16 to 18 months. Is that, maybe a little longer. But they're going to say 2 years, but I'm encouraging them to get this done sooner so I can get Dan Foley off my back. I'm going to make sure he gets the first app for the real time. I think that's really important for Dan. And Dan's a great guy. Dan's a big supporter, obviously.
There was a lot of discussion about this at our meeting because being the chair of this committee and seeing a digit that had that many a number that had that many commas in it concerned me tremendously, let's say. And so we did have he said, over a 3-hour discussion about this project and asking the types of questions of how long will it take, and the fact that, yeah, it may take 2 years, but we do want this done right. So I'm not wanting us to plug something in that's not going to work when we say start. So there was quite a bit of discussion at our meeting concerning this project and the fact that the number had several commas in it.
And I think I would argue it's been exhaustive. We've been talking about this project formally with the board over a period of a number of years, and in pieces, and then in total in this latest project. So I think the due diligence has been there, and arguably, probably Hank of all people would know I've been kind of pushing, why don't we get these things done? But I would say they did a good job of convincing me this is the path to go to make sure we get the best product, and they did a great job. So I'm happy that we're where we're at today. Would I love it all to be working today? Sure. But I know, you know, in a not too distant future, we're going to have it all up and running. And when the customers and our employees start to feel the benefits of it, I think it'll make a huge, huge difference.
Good.
Great.
Anything else, Mark?
I do have a couple informational items for those of you other than me who are, you know, concerned about bike share. Franz and I are deeply concerned about bike share. We talk about it a lot. You know, we're getting there. We're putting the finishing touches on the bike shop. I was actually in there a little while ago, and they were painting the walls. Obviously, the next critical task right now is making sure things arrive. And even shipping was, there was some care taken to avoid the problems on the West Coast that were recently resolved, but I understand there's still a backlog there of freight. So our bikes are coming in from the East Coast to help us with that. We are very hopeful that within 3 weeks, bikes are going to be going together in one of our warehouses, and that the stations will be beginning the installs the last 2 weeks of April. Right now, the electrical work's being done on the stations that'll have a hardwired electric to them. So we're really, really close. Obviously, it's a critical time. I still think we're going to have a May launch, and we'll make sure that you're ready for that. But it's going to be a great, great project. So stay tuned for that. Next Gen, things are going well. All 4 buses are on the street today. You know, so far so good. Now the end game for us is to just run the heck out of these buses and see if there are issues that are going to pop up. The reviews have been very good on the street from both operators and customers that I've gotten personally. I've had no complaints about the new bus, so I think we're on a good path. And again, it's another huge, huge project that I think addresses a lot of issues we've had in the past with the trolley system. And I think it's another unique approach where we have a good product. It well exceeds the Buy America requirement because the bus is built in California. So we're very happy with the direction that's going and look forward to more on that soon. Hopefully we'll be able to get some hard data that we can start sharing at the board level. And one last item, just a reminder, Thursday at 11 a.m. on Courthouse Square is Stand Up for Transportation Day. And this is an event we've pulled together. We are one of, I think, 200 cities in the United States that are having events on that day, and we want to send a clear message to Congress that it's time for a 6-year highway and transit bill. We need it now. At our session on Thursday, we expect to have Mayor Whaley, County Commissioner Lieberman, County Engineer Paul Gruner, and Brian Martin from MVRPC, in addition to State Representative Fred Strayhorn, to make it clear that we're united in this effort. You know, our roads, our bridges, and our public transit systems need a long-term, reliable funding strategy. And if all you have to do is look at our financials to see how much we rely on those federal dollars. So we need to make sure they do the right thing and hopefully give us a long-term bill this year, not just one more extension. So if you can make it great, it won't be a long session. And Frank has guaranteed that the sun will come out for 1 hour starting at 11 a.m. Courthouse Square on Thursday, and you heard it here first.
Good.
And that's all I have to report unless there are questions.
Thank you, Mark. Are there any questions? Thank you, Mark. Is there any old business to come before the board? Any new business? We now get into the public comments, and the first one is Sandra Smothers. Pardon me? Yeah, okay, sure, sure. Frank is bringing it.
Frank's got it.
Thank you. My name is Sandra Smothers. I'm a citizen of Montgomery County. I live at 215 McDaniel Street, apartment 107, Dayton, Ohio. My comment is today, first of all, Mr. Donahue, the last board meeting, we were here, and you came downstairs. You know, I called you on this, but I shouldn't have had to dial your number and call you. What you said was very inappropriate to the citizens, especially the seniors. You used the word that we come down here and bitch. No, we wouldn't have to if things would go right, okay? But you apologized to me, but you didn't apologize to Ms. Day. Next item is the new buses. They're fine, but they don't have any heat on them. My granddaughter and my grandson like to froze on one day, coming from the Northwest Hub. And I don't appreciate that. If you're going to spend the money for these high-powered buses, then you need to get them in order. And another thing, I'm looking at the price in the newspaper. Really, Mr. Donahue, $1.4 million for one bus? You could buy 3 buses for that, regular trolleys. But we understand you want the diesel trolley, so we're going to go along with it since you put it out there. But as I said, you need to apologize because that was very, very inappropriate for an executive director that's supposed to be our leader in Dayton, Ohio, of our transit system. Okay? That's all I got to say.
Well, I recall that I apologized to all 3 of you that were sitting there for if the use of that term bothered you, but obviously I remain frustrated that instead of calling here and airing your issues when they occur so that we can fix problems if they do exist, that people, for whatever reason, decide that this is a better forum to tell us about something that might have happened months ago, that may be too late for us to investigate because of the lack of video. And again, I apologize for the use of the term.
Thank you. And Ms. Mothers, thank you for stating your name and address, because I forgot to, before the meeting, again, mentioned to all of the people speaking, you must state your name and address, and after that is finished, you'll have 3 minutes to make your comment, and at the end of 2.5 minutes, you will see a yellow light at the end of the dais here, and that will tell you have 30 seconds left. Okay. The next one I have here is Dory Trammell. If you can come to this thing, that's fine.
Hello. My name is Dory Trammell. I reside in the city, 3826 West 3rd. I'm a lifelong resident of the city, and I do miss Minnie Fields. Since she's left, I think that the bus service has become horrible. And when I heard about these electrical lines addition, I think that that is absolutely ridiculous. People are late to work. You have extended services on these routes. People are waiting long times to get connections. This hub downtown is a lot of propaganda. You're criminalizing people that are downtown. People can barely get to their buses. You're getting all this money for projects, but we need more buses out there on the streets. And you claim you go by who's on the buses. And a lot of these people that are making decisions are not representative of the people that are riding. You claim you might have a driver here or there or a passenger, but for the most part, the service is horrible, and I miss Minnie Fields. I wish she was here. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mary Miller is next. Microphone.
My name is Mary Miller. I reside at 85 Ridge Road, apartment 41, Brookville, Ohio. I originally had planned to talk about the March 23rd mailing from Mr. Napier giving 2 of the tickets that nobody can really recognize them as tickets. My son and his grandmother have a reoccurring transportation issue, which was resolved by one of the schedulers by putting them on an automated scheduling for Sunday, since they go to the same church and they come home the same way. William went to catch his bus Sunday morning, and for whatever reason, the bus driver told him he had no ticket, he had to get off the bus. My son, not being real vocal, has Down syndrome, but he does travel on the RTA to and from church alone, to and from his grandmother's alone. The driver was so harsh in putting him off the bus, he was found by his neighbors about a half hour later at the front door, slumped over. He had had a seizure. These are stress seizures. He does not have seizures on a normal basis. And until the squad got him to Grandview and we saw him have another one when he was questioned about what had happened to him once he had got a little bit more coherent and able to talk, he went into another seizure. So I had called to file a complaint because we were in the hospital emergency room when they called to try to locate him for his trip home. And I was told that I needed to call the complaint line and they wouldn't be in until Monday. Being that I was upset and he was upset, we missed the call on Monday, but we're here today. And I had intended on addressing this ticket. If you're going to send out something in a gratuity, why would you send something that nobody recognizes? He had this in his pocket when he got to the hospital. For whatever reason, the driver was very nasty, and I have his little ticket that he left. I don't know when he left it. It wasn't there when the squad got to him. We found it when we got back home from the hospital. So if whomever you want, Brandon, Mr. Napier, I'll discuss it with them because this was uncalled for. Your driver should have a little more compassion, and if you send out the great green ticket, you should make sure everybody knows what it is.
Thank you, Mary. Please meet with Jim after the meeting today. I think that would be the appropriate person to speak with. Thank you. Caller Pitzinger, I'm sorry, is next.
Hello, my name's Carla Pitzinger. I live at 3329 Shady View Road, Moraine, Ohio, 45439. Hello, everyone, after Easter month here. But I wanted to make a concern about the Gateway Men's Shelter 3 times, and I did call and make a complaint, and I did call Mr. Barr, too, also on that, about this one bus driver, just one, here, for the last 3 times, he would, at number 24 at 9:15 a.m., wouldn't stop at the bus stop at the Gateway Men's Shelter. If no one's exactly at that stop here, if he doesn't see anybody when he's driving up, even if he sees someone walking, by the time he stops and opens up the door, that person would be there, he still won't stop. And I've had passengers, including myself, you know, we'd be hearing people yelling, "Hey, stop, stop." And he wouldn't stop. He would gripe and yell even at us saying, well, if they're not exactly at the stop, when he's driving up, he's not going to stop. So I'm requesting to see. Now, I wanted to mention, comparing with I just found out, some other few people staying there, is that number 22, the bus will stop at the entrance, which is about 30 or 40 feet away. And during bad weather, you know, they have like a roof awning over there. There's no awning or shelter there at the bus stop, 30 or 40 feet away. So I'm saying, you know, the homeless are no angels there that I know, but, you know, to me, all bus drivers, they will stop if they see someone, you know, within 5 seconds. The supervisor says they're not going to wait 2 minutes. I'm saying it's not 2 minutes, it's not even a minute, it's not even half a minute. I'm talking seconds. So if I can, you know, the supervisor says bus drivers can go by the rules or not. So, you know, I would like to see if they have to go by rules, if you can have a half-minute layover. And if I can talk to someone about this later on, too, in more detail. Because you know, just having a little, I always say it doesn't cost one more penny to have courtesy. That's it. There.
Thank you, Ms. Pitzinger. And you said it was just one bus driver that does that? Yeah. And you have his number and the time and all, so I think I believe you said you have the number, the bus, and the time. Yes. Share that also with Jim Napier, and then, okay, thank you.
It sounds like Howard Bard already has it, so I'm sure we can follow up on that.
And the last one I have here is Ruby Thompson. Okay, you need a microphone. It's coming. It's coming.
Hi, I'm Ruby Thompson. I live at 729 West Grand Avenue, apartment 142. My concerns is safety, because I had a problem in February where I was in the Project Mobility and was thrown up against the window. We went over a speed bump. And so I was transported to the Grandview Hospital. Now, I had requested that the driver please see about me. And he said he didn't have time. He had to make another stop and drop someone off. So I got on my cell phone and I called the call center. So they sent a supervisor out, and he had to go back. And so the supervisor recommended that I went with the paramedics. When they got there, my blood pressure was way over 200, and they couldn't stabilize it. So I had pain on my right side and leg, and then when I went, they x-rayed and took care of me, and they put me on some high painkiller. The next day, I discovered a big bruise on the right side of my chest here. When I went to walk, my right knee hurt for about a couple of days or so. And so I'm still in therapy with this arm, but it's getting better. Now, a lot of the drivers will stress concerns, and they volunteer this to me about keeping on a schedule. They're having a hard time. When I lived in California, I was on Project Mobility. Now, there, what they had is where they service different counties. It's like Montgomery County, they had their own system. Clayton County had their own system, and it wasn't a problem. But I think the issue is here is that because they have to service a lot of people in the community and maintain a schedule, that's a big responsibility on a lot of them, you see. And I'm hearing it not from just one, but 5 or 10. You know, and I just graduated from school in 2013 as a security specialist. Here's my card. Safety should be top #1 priority with the passengers. So I just thought I'd stress that at this meeting so you would know what was going on.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I have no other public speaking request forms, so we'll then move on to our agenda further on. Are there any board member comments? Okay, hearing none, we then go on to, there's no need for an executive session. I then will entertain a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Was that Sharon?
So moved.
So is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.